What if just 6 simple daily habits could rewire your brain, supercharge your energy, and unlock the life you've always dreamed of? Neuroscience shows us that success isn't about luck, it's about consistent action that shapes your mind, body, and future. In this video, I'll share with you my ultimate success formula, the exact 6 habits that science proves can change your life forever. These aren't just tips, they're brain-based tools you can start using today to create unstoppable momentum, clarity, and joy. Imagine waking up in the morning and before you even check your phone, before the flood of emails or tasks starts pulling at your attention, you choose to move your body. Not an intense hour-long workout, not something that requires special equipment or a gym membership, just movement. Maybe it's 10 minutes of stretching on your living room floor, a brisk walk outside, or a few rounds of jumping jacks. The reason this habit is so powerful is because it's not just about your muscles or your waistline, it's about your brain. Science shows us that even short bursts of movement trigger a cascade of changes in the brain that set you up for success throughout the day. When you move, your heart rate increases, delivering more oxygen to your brain. This creates an immediate surge in energy and focus, almost like flipping a switch. But the effects don't stop there. With consistent daily movement, your brain starts to rewire itself. Neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, chemicals responsible for motivation, learning, and mood, are released in greater amounts. That means more clarity, more joy, and more drive to tackle whatever challenges come your way. Think of it this way: your brain is like the CEO of your life. And exercise is the morning meeting that sets the tone for everything else. Without it, your CEO walks into the day foggy, distracted, maybe even a little stressed. But when you move, that CEO walks into the office energized, focused, and ready to lead with vision. Which version do you want guiding your decisions? Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but I don't have an hour to spend on the treadmill, or I'm not a gym person. Here's the good news: you don't need to be. The science is clear. 10 to 15 minutes of intentional movement is enough to create real, measurable changes in your brain. I've seen people who started with nothing more than a daily walk around the block transform not just their health, but their entire outlook on life. They report feeling more confident at work, more patient at home, and more creative in their daily problem solving. And there's another layer to this. Movement isn't just about the chemical boost, it's also about identity. Each time you move your body in the morning, you're reinforcing a powerful message to yourself. I am someone who prioritizes my growth and my success. That identity begins to shape how you show up in every arena of your life. You start to carry yourself differently, not because you force confidence, but because your brain has been literally rewired to support it. Let me share something fascinating. Neuroscientists have studied how regular exercise strengthens the hippocampus, a key region of the brain responsible for memory and learning. In other words, when you move, you're not only boosting your energy for today, you're investing in your future self's ability to learn, adapt, and thrive. Imagine what that means over the course of years. A stronger, sharper brain that's more resilient to stress, more capable of handling change, and more likely to create success in every season of life. So when we talk about daily habits that can change your life forever, starting your day with movement isn't just one option, it's the foundation. It's the spark that ignites all the other habits we'll explore. If you can commit to even a few minutes each morning, you'll feel the shift almost immediately. And over time, you'll watch your life transform in ways you didn't think possible. Movement is not about perfection. It's about progress. Every step, every stretch, every intentional choice to move your body is a declaration of success. And that's why the very first habit in this formula is simple, powerful, and undeniable. Move your body every single day, because when you move your body, you move your life. If movement is the habit that wakes up your body and primes your brain for action, then gratitude is the practice that shapes how you see the world once you're moving through it. Gratitude is not just about being polite or saying thank you when someone holds the door. It's a mental lens, a way of tuning your brain to notice what's good what's working, and what's worth celebrating, even in the middle of chaos. And the science here is extraordinary. When you intentionally practice gratitude, you're actually activating neural circuits in the brain that calm the stress response. Cortisol levels drop, your nervous system shifts into a state where it can focus, learn, and thrive instead of staying stuck in survival mode. Gratitude literally reprograms the brain to scan the world for possibility instead of problems. Imagine what happens when you start every day with that mindset. You're less reactive, more creative, and more resilient when challenges inevitably appear. But here's the key: it has to be intentional. Gratitude doesn't just magically appear because we wish it to. Our brains are naturally wired to focus on threats and negativity. It's how our ancestors survived. That means if we want gratitude to become a habit, we have to practice it deliberately until it rewires our brain's default settings. One of the simplest and most powerful ways to do this is through a daily gratitude ritual. Every morning or evening, take just 2 minutes to write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big or impressive. In fact, the smaller, the better. The smell of your morning coffee, a smile from a stranger, the feeling of sunlight on your face. When you consistently do this, something profound begins to happen. You start noticing more moments to be grateful for throughout the day. Your brain becomes trained like a muscle to look for the positive. And here's where it gets really interesting. Research shows that people who practice gratitude regularly sleep better, have stronger immune systems, and even report higher levels of life satisfaction. It's not just about feeling good, it's about building a brain and a body that function at their absolute best. I remember hearing from someone who started with this very simple practice. At first, she said it felt forced, almost silly, to write down 3 little things. But she kept going. A few weeks in, she noticed she was less irritable with her kids, more patient with her colleagues, and this surprised her. She started feeling more energized in the mornings. What changed? Her circumstances didn't. Her brain did. That's the power of gratitude. Now, let's be real. There will always be days when it feels hard to find something to be grateful for. Maybe you're stressed, overwhelmed, or weighed down by something heavy. That's when this habit becomes the most powerful, because even on the hardest days, gratitude helps you anchor yourself. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about reminding your brain that even in the storm, there's something steady to hold on to. Gratitude gives you perspective, and perspective is what keeps you moving forward instead of getting stuck. What I love most about this practice is how contagious it is. Gratitude doesn't stop with you. When you express it to someone else, whether it's a colleague, a friend, or even a stranger, it lights up their brain in the same way. That small act can ripple outward, shifting the mood of an entire team, a household, even a community. Gratitude multiplies when you share it, and it can transform not just your life, but the lives of everyone around you. So as we build this formula for ultimate success, think of gratitude as the fuel that powers your daily journey. Movement might get the engine running, but gratitude determines the direction you drive. It keeps your mind open, your heart grounded, and your brain primed for growth. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes until you can't imagine living without it. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it's a habit. And when you make it part of your daily rhythm, it doesn't just change your day, it changes your life. We've moved our bodies to energize the brain. We've practiced gratitude to shape the mind. And now comes another piece of so many people overlook: what you put into your body. Because here's the truth: your brain is hungry and it runs on the fuel you give it. Every bite you take is either helping your brain work at its peak or holding it back. And when we talk about ultimate success, we can't ignore the role nutrition plays in how you think, feel, and perform every single day. Think about the last time you had a heavy, greasy meal in the middle of the day. How did you feel afterward? Sluggish, foggy, maybe even a little cranky. Now compare that to a meal filled with fresh vegetables, lean protein, and healthy fats. That's not just your stomach reacting differently. That's your brain responding to fuel. Studies show that foods high in processed sugars and unhealthy fats can impair memory and concentration, while nutrient-rich foods can sharpen focus, boost mood, and sustain energy. The brain may only take up about 2% of your body weight, but it uses nearly 20% of your energy supply. That means it's demanding. And if you constantly feed it empty calories, it can't perform the way you need it to when you're chasing big goals. On the other hand, when you fuel it well, you give yourself a mental edge that carries into every part of your day. Now, let's make this practical. Mindful nutrition isn't about dieting or rigid rules. It's about awareness. Ask yourself, is what I'm eating giving me energy, focus, and clarity, or is it leaving me drained and distracted? One powerful shift is to add more brain-boosting foods into your daily routine. Things like berries, leafy greens, nuts, salmon, even dark chocolate. These foods are loaded with antioxidants and healthy fats that protect your brain and support long-term memory and learning. Another simple practice is to stay hydrated. It sounds basic, but dehydration can sneak up on you and dramatically reduce focus and productivity. The brain is about 75% water, and even a small dip in hydration can trigger fatigue and irritability. So one of the easiest ways to care for your brain is as simple as drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning and keeping it nearby throughout the day. And here's where it gets really exciting. Nutrition doesn't just affect how you feel today. It actually shapes the health of your brain in the future. Research shows that mindful eating patterns can protect against cognitive decline and keep your brain sharper for longer. So the meals you choose today are literally building the foundation for the kind of brain you'll rely on 5, 10, even 20 years from now. Imagine stepping into the future not just healthy, but mentally strong, sharp, and ready to keep growing. That's the gift you give yourself when you fuel your brain with care. I've seen people transform their productivity and mindset just by making small adjustments. One person I worked with swapped their daily afternoon pastry for a handful of nuts and some fruit. That one change eliminated the mid-afternoon crash, and suddenly they had 2 extra hours of clear, focused energy every day. Over time, those extra hours added up to better performance at work, more patience at home, and a deeper sense of control over their life. Small changes, big ripple effects. The key is not perfection, it's consistency. You don't have to overhaul everything overnight. Start with one choice at a time, one meal at a time. Each mindful decision reinforces the message that you value your brain, you value your energy, and you value the life you're building. And when you string those choices together day after day, they become part of your identity, just like movement and gratitude. Success doesn't come from willpower alone. It comes from creating the conditions where your brain can thrive. And the food you eat is one of the most powerful tools you have to make that happen. Fuel your body with intention, and your brain will return the favor with focus, clarity, and strength. We've talked about moving your body, about shaping your mindset with gratitude, and about fueling your brain with the right nutrition. Now let's talk about something that may feel deceptively simple, but is absolutely life, changing the power of your breath. Because here's the truth, most of us are breathing all wrong. We're taking shallow, quick breaths all day long without even realizing it, and that keeps the body in a low-grade state of stress. But when you learn how to breathe with intention, you unlock one of the fastest, most powerful ways to reset your brain and body. Think about a moment when you felt anxious, overwhelmed, or under pressure. What happened to your breath? It probably sped up, became shallow, almost like you couldn't get enough air. That's your nervous system shifting into fight or flight mode. Now think about a time you felt calm, relaxed, fully present. Your breathing was slower, deeper, more natural. Here's the incredible part. By changing your breath on purpose, you can actually shift your nervous system from stress into calm, from chaos into clarity, and you can do it in minutes. Breathing deeply tells the body, you're safe. When that signal goes out, stress hormones like cortisol begin to drop, your heart rate slows, your muscles relax, and the brain moves out of survival mode and back into a state where it can focus, learn, and perform. This is not just a mental trick, it's biology. And it's available to you anytime, anywhere, without equipment, without a schedule, without even leaving your chair. So how do you turn this into a daily habit? Start with just 5 minutes a day. Sit comfortably, close your eyes if you like, and take slow breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Count to 4 as you inhale, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and pause for 4. This is called box breathing, and it's one of the simplest, most effective tools to calm the mind and sharpen focus. Do it once in the morning before you dive into your day, or use it as a reset. Whenever you feel yourself getting pulled in 100 directions. I've seen executives use this practice before big presentations. Athletes use it to steady their focus before competitions, and parents use it in the middle of hectic mornings with their kids. The beauty is that it works instantly. Within a few rounds, you can feel your shoulders dropping, your thoughts slowing, your energy centering. It's like hitting a reset button for your entire system. And here's something even more fascinating. Regular breath practice doesn't just change how you feel in the moment. Over time, it rewires your brain for resilience. Brain scans show that mindfulness and breath practices can strengthen the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision making, self-control, and emotional regulation. That means you're not only calmer in the moment, but you're also training your brain to stay calmer in the future. Imagine walking into challenges with that kind of inner steadiness, no matter what's happening around you. Now, you might be wondering, why is stillness so important in a world that constantly pushes us to do more, move faster, and stay busy? Because true strength doesn't come from constant action. It comes from knowing how to pause, to breathe, to reset, and then to move forward with clarity. Stillness is not weakness, it's strategy. And when you combine it with movement, gratitude, and mindful nutrition, it creates a balanced system where your brain and body work together in harmony. I want you to picture this. You start your day by moving your body, you anchor your mind with gratitude, you fuel your brain with food that gives you energy, and then before the world pulls at you, you take 5 minutes to breathe. You've already set the foundation for a powerful day. That's how success is built, habit by habit, breath by breath. Because when you master your breath, you master your state. And when you master your state, you master your life. We've moved, we've practiced gratitude, we've fueled the brain with the right nutrition, and we've learned how to reset with the power of breath. Now comes another habit that may not sound as flashy, but is absolutely essential if you want to keep growing, lifelong learning. Because success is not just about achieving goals. It's about continually expanding who you are, what you know, and how you see the world. And the good news is your brain is built for this. Neuroscience has a beautiful word for it, neuroplasticity. That's the brain's ability to change, to grow new connections, to adapt no matter how old you are. For years, people thought the brain was fixed after childhood, like cement that hardens and stays the same. But research has proven the opposite. Your brain is like a living sculpture. It reshapes itself based on how you use it. And learning is one of the most powerful tools. You have to keep that sculpture alive and vibrant. Think about the last time you learned something brand new. Maybe it was a new language, a musical instrument, a recipe, or even just a skill at work. Remember that feeling of challenge, maybe even a little frustration, followed by the spark of excitement when you finally started to get it. That spark is your brain building new pathways. Every time you stretch yourself to learn, you're literally upgrading the wiring of your brain. But here's what's even more important: when you make learning a daily habit, you're sending a message to yourself that you are not stagnant, that you are a work in progress. That mindset creates momentum. It opens doors you didn't even know were there. It keeps you curious, adaptable, and resilient in a world that's always changing. Now, I want to be clear. Lifelong learning doesn't mean you have to enroll in a degree program or spend hours buried in textbooks. It can be as simple as reading a chapter of a book, listening to a podcast on your commute, exploring a new hobby, or even asking deeper questions in conversations. Small doses of curiosity add up. They keep your brain flexible, your perspective fresh, and your spirit engaged. One of my favorite pieces of research shows that people who actively challenge their brains with new learning tasks have stronger memory, better problem-solving skills, and even higher levels of creativity. And this isn't limited to the young. Adults well into their 70s and 80s can grow new neural pathways through learning. That means it is never too late to start, and it is never too early to benefit. I've met people who transformed their careers simply because they committed to learning something new every day. One person began by reading just 10 minutes a night on topics outside their field. Within a year, they had developed new skills, new insights, and eventually the confidence to take on a leadership role they once thought was out of reach. That's the ripple effect of learning. It doesn't just expand your knowledge, It expands your opportunities. And learning is not just about information, it's also about connection. When you learn something new, you bring more to your conversations, your relationships, your work. You inspire others to grow alongside you. Curiosity is contagious, and when you cultivate it in yourself, you naturally encourage it in the people around you. That's how learning becomes a multiplier, not just for your success, but for the success of your family, your team, your community. So ask yourself, what's one thing you've always wanted to learn, but put off because you thought you didn't have the time? What if you started today, even with 5 minutes? Imagine what your brain could look like a month from now, a year from now, if you gave yourself permission to stay curious, to explore, to grow. Success isn't about knowing it all. It's about never stopping the process of discovery. Every new thing you learn is another tool, another connection, another step forward. And when you commit to lifelong learning, you're not just investing in knowledge, you're investing in a stronger, sharper, more adaptable version of yourself. Curiosity is the spark that keeps your brain alive. Feed it every day, and it will keep feeding your success. We've built the day with movement, with gratitude, with nourishing food, with the reset of the breath, and with the spark of lifelong learning. But there's one more habit that completes the cycle, one that ensures everything you've gained doesn't just slip away as the day ends. And that is reflection. Because how you close your day matters just as much as how you begin it. Think about what most people do at night. They collapse into bed after hours of running around, maybe scrolling through their phones, maybe replaying stressful conversations in their heads. The day just blurs into the next, and before they know it, weeks pass without ever pausing to notice the progress they've made. That's where reflection changes everything. Instead of letting the day drift away, you stop, you look back, you ask, what did I learn today? What went well? What could I do differently tomorrow? That pause creates growth. It turns every day into a stepping stone towards something greater. From a neuroscience perspective, reflection strengthens memory and learning. When you take time to revisit the events of your day, your brain consolidates that information. It files away the lessons, the patterns, the insights, making them more accessible the next time you need them. It's like pressing save on all the progress you've made. Without reflection, you risk losing those small wins, letting valuable growth slip through your fingers. But reflection isn't just about improvement. It's also about celebration. When you recognize what went well, you're training your brain to see success, to acknowledge progress, to build confidence. And that matters because success isn't built on giant leaps. It's built on stacking small wins day after day. Reflection helps you see those wins. And when you see them, you start believing in your ability to create more. Here's a simple way to practice before you go to bed. Write down 3 things from your day. 1 thing you accomplished, 1 thing you learned, and 1 thing you're grateful for. That's it. It doesn't have to take more than a couple of minutes. Over time, this small practice rewires your brain to focus on growth and possibility rather than stress and regret. You'll find yourself sleeping better, waking up more energized, and walking into the next day with clarity instead of clutter. I remember hearing from someone who started this habit reluctantly. At first, he thought it was unnecessary, just another task on an already long list. But after a week, he noticed he felt calmer at night. After a month, he started noticing patterns in his behavior, things he was doing that worked well and things he needed to shift. 6 months later, he said it had completely changed the way he approached challenges. He no longer felt like life was just happening to him. He felt like he was shaping it one day at a time. That's the power of reflection, and it's not only about the past. Reflection is also about the future. When you end your day with a short pause to reset, you're planting seeds for tomorrow. You're telling your brain, this is what matters. This is what I want to carry forward. That intentionality helps you step into the new day already aligned with your values and your goals. It's like giving yourself a head start every single morning simply because you closed the previous day with purpose. When you put all of these habits together, reflection is the thread that ties them. Movement energizes you, gratitude centers you, nutrition fuels you, breath calms you, learning grows you, but reflection grounds you. It ensures that everything you've gained becomes part of who you are, not just something you did once and forgot. In your days with reflection, and you'll never lose the progress you've made. Because when you take the time to look back, you're always ready to move forward stronger.